It seems like this PSAT for 8th and 9th graders really leans heavily on difficult percentage questions, mostly because you haven't learned a lot of algebra in school yet, so they can't ask some of the crazier stuff about quadratic equations and exponential equations and all that stuff. So you're getting hit hard in other ways, right? So there are difficult percentage questions on the real SAT for 11th graders, but you know, it's one or two, and there's other stuff. For this PSAT for 8th and 9th graders, it seems like percentages are a big deal. Luckily, we have some formulas that we can use for that. We have two, what I call the open formulas. One just looks like the word open. The other is a slight change to that, where we do a 1 plus or minus for the P, but it's the same principle, right? So we're going to look at this and see if we can understand what's going on. The number A is 190% greater than the number B. The number B is 80% less than 24. What is the value of A? So we have three sentences here, meaning we're gonna use like 2 or 3 steps to solve this thing. Usually one sentence equals one step. The sentence that I see first, that I want to work with first, is this one, because that one only has one missing piece, the B. Notice the first sentence has 2 missing pieces, the A and the B, right? That's more complicated because now there's 2 things I don't know. So don't worry about that. We'll get the B first and then we'll deal with that, right? So if we can look at this highlighted sentence, we're going to be able to solve for B and get a value. Now, when they say a percent less, that means we're using the 1 plus or minus P formula. So the good thing about that is it's very literal, right? They said less, so the 1 plus or minus part is easy to do. It's 1 minus, and then the percent. It says 80% less, so we have to write that as a decimal, so that's 0.80. Then we need to know what's the original value, the O, and what is the new value. And I talked about this in a previous video in this module when we had another percentage question. It was a little simpler. The word of is going to point to the original value in the basic equation. And when we have the change in percent, the word than is going to point to the original value. So the than is pointing to 24. That's going to go there. And that leaves the B for this side. So now it's just about simplifying. 24 times 1 minus 0.80. You can do that in a calculator, but it's 0.2. Now this part I am going to do in a calculator. So that is 24 times 0.2. is 4.8. So 4.8 is the value of B. Surprised that's not an answer choice, but that's okay. We don't want it anyway. Now we can go to this first bit and we can solve that. So the number A is 190% greater than B. Well, let's use the same formula, right? So it's the O times 1 plus or minus P equals N. This time it's greater than, so that's 1 plus. And be careful with this. You've got to convert that into a decimal. And you do that by moving the decimal place, which is after the 0, 2 spaces to the left. So this is 1.9. And I'll put the 0 just for simplicity. Then the number B is going to be our original because that's where the than is pointing to. But we know B is 4.8, so that goes here. And that means A is our new value that we want to solve for. So now again, it's not really algebra. It's just simplifying. So we have 4.8 times 2.90. And many people are going to mess this up by not adding that 1. And that's going to, I guarantee you that's one of these wrong answers. I'm not going to bother finding it, but I bet. So 4.8 times 2.9 is 13.92 is equal to A. What is the value of A? 13.92. Choice B. Done. Not hard if we know the formulas. Without the formulas, this is craziness. I would not be able to think about this without these formulas. It's just too all over the place, and I have a very high percentage chance of messing it up. So percentages are very risky on the PSAT and SAT. They have a lot of trap answers. They have a lot of opportunities for careless mistakes. But if you learn these open formulas, a lot of that kind of goes away because the formulas are very intuitive. We can just kind of put things where we want them to go. If they say less than, we're going to do 1 minus. If they say greater than, we're going to do 1 plus. There's no kind of reverse engineering anything. The equation will take care of that. So just let these equations kind of become your standard way of solving for percentages, and you will probably be able to get all of these questions right, even though this is a very hard question. So you'd be able to get these points, to end the easy module.